Hey everyone, this is Tony Reeves. If you like my content or have any suggestions, please let me know, and by all means, make sure you share. The only way I can get my word out is you help me get the word out as well. One of the biggest nightmares I used to run across when I would talk to potential clients when I was representing was the ones who came to me trying to figure out why their last attorney dropped their case. And those conversations are never pleasant. And so here's a few things that I used to share with them when they would come to me asking why attorneys, whether it be, like I said, employment law, workers' comp, family law, why would an attorney drop their case? Quite honestly, because you have no case. That's a hard thing because a lot of times people don't want to hear that they have no case. Now, and sometimes they won't tell you that. Because it's just because a lot of times the reason why they're not going to tell you is because they don't want to get into the argument with you so that you say, well, what about this? What about this? What about? They don't want to have a what about this. They've done their own internal evaluation of your circumstances and they've made the independent determination that there's no there there. So as opposed to going through that, they just say, we think it's best that you head in a different direction. So this way you're not sitting here trying to fist fight with them to convince them to stay in the case when they've already made the determination that they don't believe there's a case there. They're not confident they can win. Now, sometimes I get angry with people who say, oh, that attorney is soft. We got to fight. And I keep thinking, listen, this ain't no fist fight on the playground. This is what they do to make money. And part of their ability to be able to make money is to be able to get you a successful outcome in the case, whatever the success may be, whether it be a reduction on your fines, whether it be getting you a more equitable marital settlement agreement, whether it be getting you a couple of dollars from your employer because of being wrongfully terminated. They want to ensure they get you a successful outcome because they know if you're happy, they're happy, and you'll tell everybody else that you're happy. But if they got a situation where the evidence looks like you can't win, now you're going to say, well, how is that different from the no case? The difference is with the no case, there's no case at all, meaning there's nothing there to look at. In the can't win scenario, it's a scenario where you have evidence that says, yes, you have a case, you just don't have a strong one. And so don't get me wrong, there are a lot of attorneys out there that will take cases that are not the strongest in the world and be able to make something out of nothing. I had a few of those when I did employment law, and those are tough ones. But sometimes if you're dealing with some attorneys, if they just believe that they have evidence, but it's not really strong evidence, they may not be willing to fist fight for those cases. Sometimes attorneys decide they're no longer interested in practicing a particular area, whether it be because they're burned out or just it's not financially equitable for them anymore. They may make the determination that, you know what, I'm not doing this practice area. I'll connect you with somebody who is. And they've decided that, you know what, I'm not going to do this area of law. I can tell you, I didn't drop any of my clients when I started changing practice areas. I had a few probate cases and realized that that was not my thing. And I stuck them out to the very end. Some attorneys may not, and they may try to help you get associated with another attorney who will. But keep that in mind. Sometimes the attorneys leave. If you work going with a firm that has a lot of attorneys and this one particular attorney only does this one particular thing and that attorney leaves, the rest of the attorneys may not want to pick up the slack because that's not an area of law that they feel comfortable in doing. So if an attorney leaves the practice, and it's the only one, that may be a reason why they drop it as well. Now here's the part where you need to pay very close attention if you're one of those persons. The client disappears. Sometimes what happens, people will drop off their case with an attorney and then no longer communicate with them. The attorney is reaching out, they're mailing, they're emailing, they're sending letters, they're sending certified letters, and the client is not responsive at all. After a while, what happens is the attorney may make the determination is that the client has abandoned their case because they can only do what they have based on what the information they get from the client. The client is uncooperative is one of the most big nightmare cases. That's a situation where the attorney keeps asking for specific things over and over again, and for whatever reason, the client has just not been very forthcoming in providing that information. Whether it be documents, whether it be witnesses. I remember working with this one attorney, and he was so frustrated by the fact that his client that he was working with would never give him anything that he needed. And so after a while, he just said, bump it, I'm not gonna deal with it anymore. The reality is most people think that with an attorney, you give the attorney your case and you just run off to the sunset. It's a teamwork effort. So if you're no longer participating in the team, the attorney may make the determination it's no longer worth it for them to even deal with the case. The biggest one, though, that I run across, and all these are big in their own rights, but the biggest one that I tend to run across is the client has an unrealistic expectation, meaning the client is looking for an outcome that is legally not possible. And so, and let's be clear, I always tell people when people talk about suing and doing different things, I'm like, there's a lot of stuff you can do in the law, and then there's the reality of the law. Meaning you could always sue for anything. It's whether can you win, whether that's what really matters. And so what ends up happening is the attorney makes the determination that it is in the best interest of that person to let them go find someone else who's going to meet their expectations. Because if the attorney believes that they're dealing with a client who will not, I hate to say come back down to earth, but if they believe they're dealing with a client who does not want to take in consideration their feedback and their experiences in terms of getting them to have a more realistic expectation of what's going to happen, it puts that attorney in a really bad spot, because if everything doesn't go the way they expect, I mean the client expects, that attorney may find themselves on the receiving end of a bar complaint or a malpractice lawsuit. So they may make the determination that if they cannot taper those expectations, it might be in their best interest to just keep on moving.